previewing the Patriots versus Seahawks Sunday night matchup in week 2 here. The Seahawks are favored by 4 points with the 44.5 point over under. So basically, what that means, the implied total is the Seahawks about 25 and the Patriots about 20 in this ball game. Starting with the Seahawks, I was very impressed with their Week 1 performance. I get that the Falcons' defense is not, a tough matchup or one of the higher ones in the league, but it was still, very very good to see Russ Wilson come out and throw the ball a lot in this game, and that was the offseason report coming from him that he wanted to open up this offense and be really be able to just air it out and that's what they did in week 1 and it was very good for them. They had a resounding victory against the Falcons. So coming up against the Patriots here, it's a little bit of a tougher matchup. I think DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are still starts for your lineups, but I would temper their expectations a little bit with the tougher cornerbacks that they're going to see on the outside, particularly Stephon Gilmore. So whoever Gilmore is matched up on is probably going to be a risky play, but I would expect the Seahawks to kind of move things around, change formations and whatnot to exploit some different mismatches that they feel that they can win at, especially with a guy like DK Metcalf, just giving his framework and size and speed. I expect them to throughout the year, not just this ball game, but be able to kind of move him around and get the matchups that they feel they're going to have success at. Greg Olsen for me is a nice start in this game. I know he's probably a waiver pickup or maybe still be on your waivers, and you might have some other tight ends on your roster. But I just feel like he had enough of a target share and production in week 1 to really show that he's going to be part of this offense moving forward. And as long as all three of them are there, speaking to Olsen, Disley, and Hollister at the tight end position. Olsen was the first one out there. He received the most targets. He got into the end zone, and he really had a strong start to his year in Seattle. So I feel like for this particular matchup, if the cornerbacks are given some troubles to the outside wide receivers, Olsen's a good target over the middle for Russell Wilson to throw to. So I think he could be the benefactor to a little bit of an increased target share and potential TD again in week 2. Chris Carson is definitely a play in this game. It was a little intriguing to see him only get 6 carries on the ground. It definitely looked like the Seahawks' game plan was to throw the ball a lot more, so maybe that contributed to it. But this seems to be a tougher matchup for him, and I don't expect him to be that involved in the receiving game on a weekly basis as he was in week 1. Certainly not 2 touchdowns, reception touchdowns worth. I said it on the recap show. I feel like Chris Carson is a good candidate to kind of trade away all of these different offensive pieces plus a maybe scheme change to throw the ball more often is probably going to have a little bit of a negative impact on Carson's fantasy finishes this season. Like I said, he was involved in the passing game, and that's what you want to see. But 2 touchdowns is not sustainable for anybody on a per game basis. So if he's not getting those touchdowns, he probably gave you about 12 points or so, which you could probably find a better start elsewhere. So as long as he's involved getting those receptions and whatnot, as well as putting forth about 15 plus carries in the rushing game and getting 70, 75 plus yards, he's a very good start for you. But I see a path in this offense that he maybe is devalued a little bit with all of these other passing options and the desire to throw the ball more for the Seahawks side. For the Patriots, Cam Newton's a very safe start to me. I mean, he had about 180 or so passing yards plus 75 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So he's about the only one that I'm really confident in, playing in week 2 here. I feel like the Seahawks defense is definitely, maybe I shouldn't say definitely but they seem to be a tougher matchup than the Dolphins were. So that in mind, I feel like the only wide receiver that I'm comfortable starting is Edelman, and we talked about it. The doctor and I talked about it on the recap show that Edelman didn't have a great game, but he had a solid game that was able to just not kill you, type of performance for your team. So at this point, I'm still fine, playing him, but I wouldn't start anybody else after that. I'd also leave Michelle on the bench if you can. I mean, he was a late pickup in drafts this season, so probably you have other options on your team besides Michelle. But like I said, I feel like Cam Newton, if this is going to be the game plan every single week to be to put the ball in his arms and call some read option plays and things like that, let him be able to scramble and play his game, that he's probably a safe start with that rushing baseline, but probably the only start on the Patriots that I'm willing to make, especially in week 2 of this season. So it should be a fun matchup. I think this one could go either way depending on which offense comes out and performs better, or maybe even which defense is able to stop the other offense. I'd give the pick to the Seahawks in this game. I feel like their offensive prowess is just going to be a little bit too much to keep up with for the Patriots for on their side of the ball. So I'd expect the Seahawks win, but I think this is a really good, really intriguing matchup, and probably should produce one of the closest back and forth type games of the week.